welcome back to my channel. And today I am here to share a layout I did for the Nicole Jones 911 Designs design team. And today we are working in my Berlin album. And this layout went a little bit all over the place. I had a few inspiration pieces on my desk, and I had my How to Kill a Kit with Style based on the Maggie Holmes Marigold collection out on my desk. But I also had a couple of page kits that I had made a few months back. And if you recall, I shared them last week, I think, in my Freeze Friday, that I really wanted to try and get some of them done using some of the My Mind's Eye Gingham Farm, Doodlebug, Petite Dots Essentials, and that was on my desk as well. So then I thought, I think I'm going to try something a little bit monochromatic in the creams and blacks and charcoals and grays. And so that's what I started with. So I took a pattern paper from the Marigold collection, I gutted it, and then I trimmed this lovely little polka dot paper down and put it, and if you notice here, I put a little bit of a wider frame than I often do, and that's because I wanted this piece of paper to sort of overlap a little bit. And that is from the Gingham Farm, the My Mind's Eye Gingham Farm, and it's pretty much in the size that it was on my desk. And so I put that down, and then in the end I went back to one of my absolute go-to designs, one of the designs that I had scrap lifted years and years ago from my lovely friend Kelly Barron. And it's just one of the, when I'm not sure, or when I'm questioning myself, or I have a lot of inspiration and I'm not quite sure where to go, I just fall back onto that lovely design, which is what I did here. So I went back to the background paper and I just did a little bit of a scallop border here and tucked it there. And then I tore some black cardstock just to give a little added interest. And then I did a scallop border here as well of that same black cardstock. So that gave a little bit more interest than just my normal sort of 1/3, 2/3, I think. And it gave a nice little shelf down here to do a fun cluster. I'll get back to that. I matted my photos in black cardstock. This one is flat to the page. This one is popped up. And this photo's of the Berlin Zoo, one of the biggest and best zoos in the world, and it's definitely worth a full day. For some reason, I have very, very few photos. I really have to go rummaging and look back, because I'm pretty sure I took, like back in those days, I didn't have a digital camera. It was still just a film camera. And I'm pretty sure I took like pretty much a full roll. And I really couldn't find anything but this photo. This, in fact, which is the entrance, is a photo I got on Google. So I don't know, I'll have to go back and find that, because I would like to do another 6x12 page here with a few more photos and some journaling that goes along with it. So I got those down, and as you know, I like to put my photos askew. And then to me, when I have this kind of design, the little area here is always either perfect for the title or for an embellishment cluster. And once I have an embellishment cluster there, I generally, as opposed to going for a triangle, I will go for a diagonal. And that is what I did here. A large cluster, medium cluster, and small cluster, which is a way that I do like to work. So I got that down. I came down here and did this cluster first. So I used one of the labels, and here I'm working with the grays. I'm working with the viewfinders in the light and the dark gray as opposed to black, because I did want a little bit of contrast, not just everything black and white or cream. So I used the 2-inch viewfinder here, an 1.5-inch viewfinder here, and this under here is one of the labels. So this one is flat to the page. This one is up on pop dots, and then I just tucked the label in here so that I could put the year, 2005. Then I went and got one of the lovely little arrows, and these arrows I think I got in the Seasoned Spices sort of collection, stories. And this little yellow arrow is actually a punch that I used, but I punched it in one of the tabs, in a yellow tab. So sometimes, even though she's got some gorgeous arrows, they weren't quite the arrows I wanted this time. I wanted one this. So I still used the printables, but I punched out of them. So there you go. So I got that. And then I went in with some enamel dots. The yellow are enamel dots that I had in my stash, and this sort of green, lovely green that matches in here, and that brings in the pop of color, so that you can see here that in the end I did not go completely monochromatic. I put in a little bit of color in each of the clusters because I felt they were sort of in the photo, so I wanted to bring them out a little bit. And so this lovely mossy sagey green is the Nuvo Vintage Drops, and this one is in, what color is this? Oh my Lord. Regency Green. I got to tell you, even with my glasses, people, that's starting to get a little bit hard to read, I'm telling you. So I got that in 3 little spots. Then up here, I got another one of the little yellow viewfinders, this gorgeous camera, and another of the lovely arrows pointing in, which is Good Times. So I got that down, and then that gave me, I sort of felt like I would just follow the curve here with Zoo and put Berlin over here. So Berlin Zoo, a lovely camera. I put an enamel dot right in the middle of that camera. I didn't add any of the Nuvo drops here because I felt really I had enough of that lovely green, and that it wouldn't show all that much on the black, because you see even here down on the gray, you don't really see them as much. And then this fun little cluster up here at the top with another label, a 1-inch viewfinder. I put another enamel dot in there, and then a little bit of the Regency Green Nuvo drops here. And remember, so I love the sort of diagonal feel of that. You still get a little bit of a monochromatic feel with just the pops of color. So there you go. Now, this is the end of the layout for my team project for this week. But I'm going to, so if that's what you are here for and you don't want to see anything else, you can stop here by all means. But I did get a few questions on the Mercy Tiara group and a few DMs on where to start. Like, some of you went on to the shop page and said, oh my God, there's so much gorgeousness. Where do I start? First of all, let me remind you that you can get 10% off your complete order, including classes, if you use my code Moira, M-O-I-R-A 10, Moira all in caps. I will leave that down below. But there is also a few little tips here. There is a search bar, a search feature that you can go in. So you can start with shapes, let's say viewfinders. And I generally start with the shape I'm looking for and then go into the colors, and that narrows it down quickly. But you've also asked me, okay, but what should I buy first and how do I decide on what colors? So for me, and I guess that always depends on your style, but to me, the classic way to start, and you see here, this is pretty much what I've used, are the viewfinders. That is where I started, and I believe that is where Nicole started as well. The viewfinders come in 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inches. So that to me is definitely somewhere to start, because you can layer them together as you see here. You can pop them up, you can tuck them in. They make a beautiful, beautiful foundation. So I suggest starting with basic shapes like the viewfinders. And I also suggest starting with maybe the color families, because then that will allow you to look at all the various colors that they come in, decide which ones that you like, and then you can go back and say, you know what, I think I could use a whole sheet of this color or that color. So there are 6 different color families. This one is Cozy Cafe. This one to me is a very, very, very versatile one. It's one that I love. Beautiful mint and teal. Got some grays, some more neutral sort of craft color. I love Cozy Cafe. And then you can see here, I went and got them in the 1.5. And now here I'm going to stop for a minute as well and show you the difference, because last week I was talking about the paper, and I have used some cardstock from Staples. I've used Stampin' Up! Cardstock, and I have now discovered my new favorite, which is the Epson Premium Presentation Paper that my lovely friend Sarah gave me a reference for. And look, you can see here, look at the vibrancy. This is Cozy Cafe as well. And look, I mean, this is gorgeous as well. I don't know if this was the Staples cardstock or the Stampin' Up!, which I love as well. But just look at the vibrancy using the Epson Premium. Premium now, don't forget Premium, because they also just have the matte presentation paper, which is a little bit cheaper. Sarah used the Premium, and that's what I bought. And look at the vibrancy of those colors. So that is definitely my paper of choice. Then you see here another color family, which is one of my favorites, which is Seasoned Spices. Then another basic shape to me, for me, are the tabs. And you'll see in a moment, I'll show you some of the layouts that I do. So the tabs, that is another basic shape that I definitely suggest starting with. And this is in Pastel Paradise. A little bit here left over with the Cozy Cafe. And then you see, as I went through and I looked at the variety of colors and started using and matching to my stash, I realized that I love the peaches. Well, you know, I love the peaches, the corals. And so I actually went in and I got the tabs in peach afterwards. So then once you've used the color families, that will show you and point you into certain directions for specific colors. Another basic shape, which is so useful to use as a foundation, are the labels. This is just in the dark gray, and these are sort of the basic labels, I think they are called. I'll try and go back, and I think that's what they're called, because they really are just, you know, you have circles and larger circles, and these lovely that have the little notched corners, the square ones. These are very, very, very useful to tuck in, as I did here. And then you see here I use them in Seasoned Spices. And then to me, when I started wanting to go into more specific shapes, the first shape that I went to are the cameras. That to me is always, I love using cameras. I love getting them in puffy stickers and chipboard. I love using cameras as embellishment. So for me, that was then another basic shape. So you see, I started with that kind of, and this one is in the Pastel Paradise, I believe. So I started with sort of some of those basics, and then you can start playing and adding the colors. So I hope that was useful. And then just to show you a little bit how it works, you see, look here, you can just use these basic viewfinders, and you have an embellishment cluster right there with 3 colors, 3 sizes, all overlapping. Or the tabs tucked in at a little bit of an angle, different colors, and a combination of both. So you see that right there, a cluster with just some of the lovely, lovely basic shapes. And these, I think I got, these are Radiant Rainbow, which is another color family. Then you see here, I basically, again, just used viewfinders and tabs and pop them in there and use them as foundations. So you can get a lot done with just some of those basic shapes to begin with. And then here, when I started going a little bit more branching out, and I went to get some of these gorgeous, gorgeous wood slices, which is probably the next basic shape that I went to after the cameras. So there you go. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any other questions, please, please, please don't hesitate, as you've done before, to post them in the Mercy Tiara group. Tag me in the Nicole Jones 911 group. Send me a message on Messenger, and it will be my pleasure to try and help you. And again, if you want to do a little bit of shopping, use my code Moira10 to get 10% off your order in a shop that is already 25% off. So that is a deal. So thank you so much for being here with me. I will have all of the links down below, and I will see you again here very, very soon. Bye for now.